Hello friends and welcome back for another episode of Indie Impressions. My name is Nick and today we're going to be checking out something called Mirage by a group of developers known as Grupp number 1. This is a very interesting and very unique game. I haven't really seen much else like it. It's very difficult to even put it quite into a genre classification. But essentially what we're going to be doing today is controlling an enchanted magical swarm of glass shards and trying to guide it through what is a very destroyed and disheveled land that I think used to be quite a bit nicer. And the goal, I believe, is to get us to the end of this land and possibly reform some sort of a magical mirror that is supposed to transform the land back to the way it was. A very lovely premise, and I think the execution is very close to being perfect as well. This is a game that you guys are definitely going to want to check out. There is one big flaw with it, which I'll go over in a little bit. But I do just want to say that, this is one you should definitely check out. The link is going to be in the description, all that, of course. Let's look at the credits real quick. There are the people involved with the creation of this game. Here is our options menu, sensitivity set to 10, inverted off, right-handed on. This is a game that you can actually control with a 360 controller or mouse and keyboard. I'm going to choose to use the mouse and keyboard for reasons that I will get into in just a quick moment. It is nice enough to give us all the controls here, so you can get a quick look at what it is that we're going to be doing. Pretty standard stuff. The beginning actually starts a little bit more like almost a racing game as you're trying to just avoid smashing into walls, but it does kind of open up from there. So there's a little bit of poetry as well, which I will read out for you. Black and void, the mirror stand, its power veiled from mortal hand, the witch alone with firm command can gaze into the heart of man. Yet love-lorn her apprentice yearned to view the soul for which he burned. A maiden fair but far apart, he touched the glass to know her heart. The mirror cracked and cast its curse, and split in half the universe. The living land to death would pass, as boy would turn from flesh to glass. It's a very lovely little rhyme there. I like that quite a bit. So let's start us up. And thankfully, they don't just make us read that in a short amount of time. We can actually prompt when we're ready to go on from there. Alright, so here is the game world. As you can see, we are, like I mentioned, a bunch of glass floating in the air in a very magical-looking enchanted forest, which is a lovely fantasy setting here. The graphics and the art style, to combine with the music and everything, really, really well done, very highly polished. So let's just take a quick moment here to get acclimated with what exactly we can do. There is, if you hold down left-click, an option to basically, set a target on something. You can actually lock on, and actually it's going to go over that right now. So you can aim at more than one enemy before releasing your shard. It's actually a little bit preemptive, because there aren't any enemies for a bit here. Sweep over enemies to lock on the multiple targets. Multiple locks will add more damage. Right bumper or right mouse button. Remember, shards are your life. Replenish your body. Masked by destroying the glowing crystals. There's a bit of a dichotomy going on here where we're trying to sustain ourselves, but also sometimes we have to use ourselves offensively, and the goal throughout the entire thing is don't crash into stuff, which kind of is self-evident considering you're made of glass. And I really enjoy this little contrail that's coming off of our shards here, as well as there's going to be a lot of god rays and view distance, fog, all kinds of little lovely details that really do add up well. And later on, the ambience actually starts to get almost like Dark Soulsian, if I could coin that term. There's also a little bit of exploration. There's some glass shards that we're going to run into, and you just saw one of them a second ago, but I was just making sure there wasn't anything hidden behind that log. And let's pick that up, and then we're presented with another little rhyme. The lover's tree. Gray and dead the lover's tree. He was young, and so was she, entwined as one eternally. She held him hard, and so did he. With tangled arms and fingers wide, they grew into each other's side. At night it echoes through the dark, two lovers screaming from the bark. So there's a little bit of a story element going along with this as well. So we'll wind through some of these nettles and scraggly branches and foliage, looking for perhaps some more crystals to embiggen our shard pile here. We can also hit a spacebar, which will spread us out. I'm not sure exactly what that's going to help with, but I have noticed that we can do it regardless. So the one thing, like I mentioned, there's an issue with the camera, and when you run into it, it's a pretty big issue. So far, we have been unaffected, and one of the things that I want to remind you guys not to do, if possible, is try not to strafe. Abstain from use of the A and D keys if you can, because that really seems to mess with the camera. Not guaranteeing that it's going to break the game, but it certainly did that a bit for me. There were also some instances where for some reason the shards just stopped moving quickly. I was still able to move just really slowly, and that made it very unpleasant at a certain point. So we're going to continue to grab a few more shards here, and then noticing up ahead It looks almost like floating rocks off in the distance. These are actually these like big, bloated, blood-filled flies that apparently really don't like glass shards, or maybe they don't like the magical enchantments that happen to power us. So we're going to try and eliminate those before we can even get too close to them. And then we're going to go ahead and grab another one of these shards to refill our energy a little bit, if we shall. So let's head down through here, through this split passage. You'll notice things open up quite a bit, but there are quite a few more of these flies, and they're going to zoom in at us if we don't get rid of them as quickly as possible. The targeting is not difficult, really. You'll get the hang of it after just a few moments. But if they catch you unaware, or you don't see one like out of your peripheral vision, they can sneak up and kill you. The checkpoint system is very generous, though. You won't find yourself too far away from the last point you were at. So we found the Maddening of Miners, Part 1. Upon the rock, 3 miners toiled, shifting blocks and clearing soil. In tunnels deep they'd dig and grind, and deep in depths they'd lost their mind. I guess the miner's conundrum. You spend so much time under the soil, eventually. Amidst your toil, you might find your mind a boil, and now I'm off the rails, and that's where that rhyme's gonna go. Alright, so let's keep moving on. There's still quite a bit to see. This game is thankfully not super short, although again, not exactly full length or anything. I think you could probably expect to clock like maybe 15-20 minutes on this one. I was kind of expecting it, with the production value being so high, I was kind of expecting it to be like 5 minutes long. So I was a little pleasantly surprised that there was a little bit more to see and do here, as well as all this beautiful ambience to take in. We've got all these thorns up above, we've got some fog, some lovely night sounds, birds chirping, and bugs. And let's see what this one is. I think this is the Miners Part 2. The Maddening of Miners. Into the rock 3 miners went, swallowed by the sediment. No one knows, but people heard that 2 went mad and ate the 3rd. Creepy. Alright, so let's move back down. In case you were wondering, there is a limit to how high you can vertically fly. It's reasonably high. It's roughly where the assets seem to end. And that's... wow, it's really easy to get turned around if you're not paying really careful attention to where you're going. So probably don't go up that high. It doesn't really help anybody out. You're just going to get yourself confused. And I haven't actually crashed into anything quite yet, which is lovely. This is the part that I was mentioning. Kind of reminded me a little bit of Dark Souls. I think you could probably figure out where I was talking about if you tried real hard. So there's actually a hidden glass shard, I believe, in one of the logs coming up, so I need to keep apprised of that situation. Also looking out for any more crystal shards that I could use to replenish my body made of glass. It's an interesting predicament, because there are times when you actually can have so few glass shards that I'm not sure you're able to actually break any more crystals, in which case you kind of just have to run into something and call it a day, I suppose. So let's grab some from over there, and then there's also a few more over here. I can almost see this getting to be like a really fast-paced game, where maybe there was a strict time limit, and then it's sort of like a Panzer Dragoon style game where you're essentially just trying to destroy all the enemies on almost like a rail shooter type thing. I'm trying to watch for any secrets or any areas that I might need to explore. They're a little bit more generous than I would have expected with some of these locales. Very many of the times that I see things like this, they tend to be very constrictive and super linear, so I was very excited to see that we can actually move around a little bit. So the Fisherman Hymn. Flowing wild in silver stream, beneath the god that sleep and dream, the fishermen that pray to him will have their boats filled to the rim. Fair enough. So I guess this didn't quite used to be the corrupt swamp that it is now. They're trying to drive that point home as much as possible, and I'm just kind of looking through some of these rock outcroppings to make sure there's no, like, secret passages that might take me somewhere else. I'm really enjoying these, like, auxiliary paths that don't really need to exist, but do just to set the mood. The fact that there's, like, a footpath going up and around this corner. Uh-oh, we've got flies here. And I'm also worried because I just noticed my camera started to shift a little bit. We've been extremely lucky so far, and since I've only used the W key combined with the mouse, I think that's probably the best way to go, and it hasn't led to too much discord. Let's see what this one has to say. The world that was, in splendor rich in green and gold, yawned the endless world of old, a realm not ruled by beast nor man, where order reigned across the land. I feel like I'm about to spout some kind of Pokemon rhyme or something in a second. Alright, let's grab another one of these. Look at that, the thorns open up, and we can head through to another cave. And what are you? Actually reminds me a lot of enemies from something like Shadow Man. Very creepy things. These actually will suck you into them, because apparently whatever these monsters are, they either feed on the glass shards themselves or the magic, like I said with the other ones. And they don't seem to mind getting a little bit of glass in their throat, which is not really traditional behavior and kind of makes them even creepier if you think about it. Those stilt legs don't really help much either, as well as the weird, like, I don't even know what to call it. It's like an umbrella mouth or something. It reminds me of something from Half-Life. Okay, we're being chased by a fly. I'm not sure if there's a way to get away from that. And it looks like the door has closed behind us, perhaps? Maybe. Maybe not. Let's just see if we can get some distance, fire off some glass at these guys, and move on. Yeah! Fireworks! And I don't see any other secrets around here, so it looks like we're clear to go up. But you see what I mean? This game has really nice production values. This is an incredibly scenic shot right here that we're seeing with this overpass. Almost looks like something from Team Ico as well. Very big, foreboding architecture, and everything is very, you know, really weathered looking. And really does set the theme and the ambience quite well. Now, the camera's behaving strangely. I think it's because of the wind. Yeah, alright, I couldn't really understand what I was doing there. And it looks like I've crashed. It might have given me credit for that glass shard, though. Yeah, I think it has. So we'll just kind of zoom right back through that again. There's, I think, one more checkpoint coming up, so we just need to not crash into that a second time. But I don't think we have to worry now, because we don't really have to try for that shard up above. So if the camera wants to behave badly, then so be it. I'm also probably not helping matters by, like, jostling the camera left and right from center quite a bit. I don't know that you should really have to worry about that kind of thing, but like I said, we'll work within the boundaries and constraints that we're given, and in this case, I feel like I can forgive a few mistakes. The game is really nice. And did I mention free? I think I did, but just in case I didn't. This is like wood stuck in the ground here. These little details, like many people would have just forgotten about or not added at all. And then we've got beautifully colorful, I don't know what the name of these things is, the top part of like a cathedral or something, or some sort of worship shrine, perhaps. These guys take 2 hits. And we got that down. Now you gotta watch out, this could be perhaps a little bit of a stealth sequence if you wanted to set it up that way, because you can actually sort of navigate to the left or right, and not have to necessarily confront all the enemies, which may actually be beneficial to try and keep some of your glass shardage. But there's also supposed to be, I think, one more secret, one of the poetic glass shards that we need to collect, and I'm not sure where that one actually is. Uh-oh, we're being tracked. Alright, looks like that actually smacked into something else, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. Oh, I think we found another crystal I can use. And I may have missed it. I'm not actually sure where that other glass shard is. Yeah, the last time when I played this, when I got to this point, my glass shards basically slowed down to a crawl. Oh, is that it? I think that's it up here. So it was a little frustrating because I couldn't quite go through this with any kind of reasonable speed. The Song of Kadath. Ageless in its city walls arise, its lofty spires strain the eyes, beyond the clouds to hold the skies, the kingdom vast that never dies. Eternal Kadath, kings thrown upon you, eternal Kadath, starry wisdom guide us. That doesn't quite rhyme, does it? Unless I pronounce that strangely. Proud the people live across time, pray to keep the stars aligned. Eternal our Kadath may lie, through aeons even death may die. Very mysterious. So it looks like we found all the glass shards now. And if you'll notice, we made it through all of this without ever needing to use the spacebar ability, so I'm not really sure, again, what that was for. Let's just head on a little bit further. And now we've got a bit of a confrontation with some sort of crazy worm turtle. Maybe it's not quite a turtle, but it looked like it was for a split second. And there are a couple of crystal shards over here that I'm going to see if I can go grab. Might as well amass as much as I can before we get into too big of a fight. And, well, that's probably good enough for now. Let's see what I can target. Okay, looks like I can shoot its arms. Although, I'm not sure quite how it's going to flail or attack me, so I should probably stay facing it when possible, but that's difficult since I can't really strafe or anything. And I don't want to stay still for too long, because I'm pretty sure it's going to come after me, or at least spit some vomit or some kind of acid at me or something. Chances are I probably need to time something. No, guess not. Most of the time when these types of bosses happen the way they happen, it seems like you usually need to hit a certain point at a certain time. Otherwise, the thing's usually invulnerable. But in this case, no, apparently just took a few shots. And I think that is all Mirage has for us today. Is that so? Yeah, that is so. I was kind of hoping there might be a little bit of exposition at the very end, but we did read all those lovely rhymes throughout, and I had a very good time with Mirage. I hope you did as well, and I hope you'll consider going ahead and grabbing it and letting me know what you think about it in the comments. Very, very cool game. Lovely ambience, great soundtrack, great graphics. Just that one issue which never cropped up, so I'm real happy to report that. So yeah, stay away from that A and D, and I think you'll be good to go. Anyway, that's going to do it for another day. Feel free to go check out the link, again, in the description, as well as my social media stuff also in there, my Twitter, my Facebook, my Indie Impressions website, of course, where you can go to find over 600 other episodes in the series if you're interested in watching lots more weird indie games. That's kind of my thing. And hopefully you'll consider leaving a like and leaving a comment or something just to keep the dialogue going with this particular series. Let me know if you're still enjoying things, of course, and be sure to come back again tomorrow. New episodes go up every single day, so I look forward to talking to you again then, and I hope you have a lovely night. Take care.